Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 4 of Breaking Keyfabe. I am very excited for this. We have had 3 already. The last one was 3 hours. Who knows how long this one's gonna be? Each time we've done a Breaking Keyfabe, it has been an honor, and it is a true privilege. And my next guest, I think everybody shall be very excited for. I have no doubt. I'm adding him right now. He has just entered. Hello, sir.
Hey, what's up?
How are you doing?
I'm all right. Recovering from a long weekend, but I'm doing good.
That's great to hear. And may I just say, I have to give you a proper introduction when I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one and only Guttersnake himself, Izzy James.
What's up? What's up? Let's talk some wrestling.
Hell yeah, sir. Freaking, how long have you been in the wrestling business?
How long have I been?
Mm-hmm.
15 years, since 2010.
Wow. What drew you to professional wrestling, and how did you get started?
So I started in wrestling. What drew me into wrestling was my mom. She was a big wrestling fan. Both my mom and my grandmother were huge wrestling fans. And so when I was a little kid, they took me to the sportatorium to see the NWA, the WCCW. The last days of the sportatorium was really cool to see as a little kid. So I kind of grew up around wrestling my whole life. When I was 21, I was working at a camera shop testing cameras, and I was really bored one day, and I was like, I'm tired of playing video games and imagining if I can be a wrestler. I'm gonna go find a way to try it and see if I can do it. And I found a school. That school is called MPX. It's a promotion in the DFW area that still runs to this day. They actually have a weekly episodic show that runs every Saturday, and they air it on, I think it's YouTube, maybe Twitch. But I started at their school in late 2009, and in April 3rd, 2010, I made my in-ring debut.
And during first match, how was that experience going out there feeling like every emotion whatsoever?
So match wise, it's probably the worst match you'll ever see in your in that's ever existed. So please
Wow.
don't ever look that up.
Hey,
But
I don't judge here. You guys go out there and put on a show for the world to see.
yeah. Thank you. It was interesting because like I came from the music world, so I was always like on stage from the time I was like 15 to that point. So there's like some similarities when it comes to that, but it was certainly very different in a lot of different ways because you're not just singing a song. You're up there. You're trying to convey all these emotions, trying to get the crowd to buy into what you're doing and really be entertained. You're also not trying to hurt somebody or yourself. So there's a lot to go into what we do. And that was the first experience with doing so. And like I said, it's the worst match that's probably ever existed. So nobody ever go watch it, please.
Who was it
But it
against, if you
was
don't mind my asking?
it was against a guy named Kyle Vallow, who no longer wrestles. Um, Unlike most places where you train somewhere and you wrestle your trainer in your first series of matches or somebody who's like got a lot of experience, it was me who had been training for a few months versus another guy who had been training for a few months. So it was just recipe for disaster. No one got hurt, nothing like that. Just I look back at that match and yeah, bad.
Well, I have to say personally, I have not seen this first matchup, but I have seen what you have done in other places. And sir, when I first saw you, I thought you were a deathmatch guy. But
No,
I've
I've
seen you
done
do
I've
some
done some
stuff
of
that
both.
could be deathmatch worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've done some stuff, but I don't do it all the time.
Oh yeah. You and Joey Alexander, I believe his name is.
Jay Alexander.
Jay Alexander, you guys had a last man standing in a few other matches. Brutal. Oh,
Yeah, we beat the hell out of each other those in those matches for sure. I've also death match wise, I've like wrestled Masada, who's a death match legend.
wow.
Um,
Oh,
Khan from AEW Ring of Honor. We did like a bull rope match. It was kind of death matchy. Um, so
bull
I've
ropes
had
match are
a,
vicious.
yeah, I've had a few matches that were rather intense, or if not a death match, really close to the edge of that.
Understood, understood. How did you develop your Guttersnake persona and what inspires it?
I developed the Guttersnake thing. Well, I'm a big music person. Like I was in the music industry before this, and so every character that I've come up with, I've had three or four. They've all been music related in some capacity, whether that was a song or a band. So Guttersnake is a song by a hip hop artist that I like named Honey Claus. Uh, and whenever I came up, when it was COVID, the world basically ended for several months to a year or whatever. And in that time, I was like, this is the perfect time for me to reinvent myself. Cut off all my long hair, go from being a dark character to just being me, punk rock kid from the streets. So it was one of those situations of like just finding the real me and turning that person up to 11 and making him a larger than life character. So Izzy's just a punk rock kid who loves music, loves pro wrestling, meld them together, and you're gonna see you're gonna see a live rock and roll show from the moment I walk out the curtain to the moment I walk back through the curtain. It's gonna be a full mosh pit.
He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. If you have never checked out the Guttersnake himself, like, go check him out. Please go check him out. You also went by the another name at one point called the Unholy. Am I correct?
Yeah, that was the character that I was going with. I was that character from the time of like 2012, 13, I think, um, to 2020. It's roughly like 8 years that I did that character, and 7, 8 years. And in that time, I was like, "Unholy" is also my favorite Kiss song. Huge
Oh.
Kiss fan. So "Unholy," like there was a moment in time where Kiss went, without the face paint and all that stuff, and it was more of a grungier, hard rock time in their career. And so "Unholy" is my favorite song by them, and I was like, I think that's gonna be a great name for a dark evil cult leader kind of character. So I went with the Unholy under my original wrestling name, which was Gregory James, which is we'll never go back to that.
Guessing you like the name you have now, you're like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like it. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, "Oh, you think you'll change your name now that there's an Izzy in WWE?" No, why would I? We have totally different names.
No, for real. Just because somebody else's name, like, there's a few other people named Mark, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, how many Chris's are there?
Oh gosh, don't even get me started. uh, hey, speaking of Chris, what's up, Chris Cleve? And welcome, Ethan, and welcome, B-Boy. Thank you all for joining us for this momentous occasion. And I do have to say, since we are talking about you, and you brought up your stuff in the music world, I know I would like to learn more about this wrestling stuff, yes, but I think I want to give you a little bit of time to talk about your music stuff, too.
Oh man. Um, well, growing up, I was always a skinny kid. There was a moment in time where I got like a little chubby and stuff like that, but um, I was always a skinny kid, and so I never really felt like I was ever going to be an athlete. And I played football like 1 year, but it wasn't my thing. I like football, I like basketball, hockey, I like sports. I just it wasn't my thing. And wrestling's kind of always been in my life as far as something that was a point of interest. Um, but my family is a family of musicians. So I was like, well, let me pick up a bass guitar, guitars. I played guitar for a little while. I played bass in a couple bands, and then I always found that in those bands we never had a singer, and nobody was ever really willing to do it. So I would always raise my hand to do it, and I became a screamer for metal bands and punk bands. And I have an album that's on Spotify. I released it in 2009 before I was in the middle of wrestling training when we released this, but in on Spotify, if you look up Destrier's Gate, DESTR, oh God, how do you spell that?
Okay.
RIERSGAIT, Destrier's Gate. You look that up. There's an album called Hung, Drawn, and Quartered. It's a concept album. I wrote all the lyrics. The band wrote all the music. We recorded that in Tennessee. The um, like the producer is the guitar player for a band called Demon Hunter. He's a real popular like Christian metal band,
Oh.
and he produced our album. That came out in September of 2009. So if you go to Spotify, it is still on there. I listen to it from time to time because it's just really cool to like look back at my old
I'll
things that I used
definitely
to
look it
do.
out.
But yeah,
I'll
I was from the
definitely
time I
check
was
it.
like 15, I was doing all that stuff just on stage, whether it was one fan to 100 to a couple hundred people. I was always playing music.
And you got used to being on stage in front of people from doing music. So going into wrestling in front of gosh knows how many you've been in front of now, like but freaking even going through what you do now. I would
Yeah,
imagine just having that feeling, you had that experience just going in to be like, okay, I got this, I know what to do.
yeah, and I think that's kind of like where my like I love to perform on stage, whether that be in the ring or on a stage in music. So like when nobody would step up to be the front man, I was like, well, I'll do it. And I guess that's kind of like where the like that little seedling of confidence lived when it came to performing and just going up there and doing it. Because my family will tell you right now that the performer that or the wrestler or the musician or whatever I'm doing, the person that's in the ring is completely different than the person that's behind the curtain.
Most definitely. And I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to have this chance and the world the chance to see who you really are.
Oh, appreciate it.
Welcome, Heather, aka one of my mothers. And Rick Davidson says Izzy is the best. I'm assuming you're good friends with this man.
Mr. Davidson, I do know Rick. Mr. Ricky Bear.
Guessing you guys have wrestled together.
We've shared plenty of locker rooms. I believe we've done maybe a match or two together. Not like I don't think we've ever really had singles. If we have, I'm sorry I've forgotten about it. Been hit in the head a lot.
Me and from his picture, it looks like he's nobody to be messed with.
No, yeah. He'll mess you up.
And you've mainly competed on right now, like mostly a lot of the Texas circuit. When I was doing my research, you've been to everywhere in Texas, what it seems like. What has your early days of competing in Texas promotions been like? What was it like?
So I feel like I've wrestled in Texas for 15 years. I feel like I've wrestled every major market that's in Texas, every small town that's in Texas, whether that's, the Dallas area, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, out in West Texas in Odessa, they had a good scene out there for a little while. They still have some stuff out there, I think, in the surrounding areas like Lubbock and stuff. Um, Laredo, on the border. I've done pretty much all of those, and I've seen it go from a time when there was basically like right when I broke in, there was like barely any promotions going on. There's like a handful of them, and none of those promotions had video. Like they had the flyers and the photos, but they didn't have any content, like visual video content. So for a long time, there was no where to see Texas wrestling. You had to be there. And I learned that pretty quickly, but around like the middle of the 20 teens, like we started getting more and more places that had actual video content that you can get live on demand. Um, but not just Texas though. Like I've traveled. I do other states. I've been across the pond to London twice to wrestle. I've been to Colombia. I'm going to Canada in September. I travel all over the place, but I've been based in Texas for 15 years, and I feel like I've wrestled everybody that I could wrestle. I've worked all the places I could work. Now it's time to show the NWA and the other people why this guy is the best in Texas and the best in the business.
And you have been nicknamed that through the promotions you have been at, even big promotions like one Reality of Wrestling, where you were a member of the Legion. If I remember correctly, you were a former TV champion and tag champion there.
Yes, I was with Reality of Wrestling for about 7 years. Um, Recently stepped away from there to pursue other things. Um, but in that time, I was with the group Legion, which is like a long running, like cult like kind of group of characters. So I was in that for a little while, and longest reigning tag team champions of all time. Me and Sean Hendricks of the Legion, TV champion as well, tag team of the year in 2020. Did a lot of fun stuff at Reality Wrestling for sure. Learned a lot too.
I would imagine you learned under the of Booker T and Stevie Ray, yes?
Booker's there, Stevie Ray not so much, but it's they
Oh,
also have like really good um talent that has come from there as far as like people that Booker has helped train, like Ryan Davidson, who became like a mentor for me while I was there. Gino Medina is also another amazing talent that came from reality wrestling that helped kind of shape what I learned and how I progressed over the years.
and coming from Reality of Wrestling, being in that locker room dynamic, was it different than the other locker rooms you were in?
Every locker room is a little different um, when it comes to professionalism or cleanliness, locker room etiquette, things like that. Reality wrestling certainly treats their show, and rightfully so, more like a TV production. So, I mean, that just makes sense coming from, the people that are in charge, like Booker T and his, production lead, Kevin. They want to make sure that they're putting out the best product. That's the closest thing you're going to get on the independent scene that isn't directly related to WWE or to AEW or any of those major companies. They have their partnership now with the WWE ID stuff, but it's still like before then, they wanted to make sure that you were getting quality wrestling, but also a quality product to watch that wrestling. So uh, I would certainly say that I've seen a lot of locker rooms where there was a lot of questionable things, whether that be in Texas or in other places. But this at Reality Wrestling, there was a lot more, um, of a schedule. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. We got to make sure our timing is right. We got to make sure this is, everything is
So they were
set
running
and ready.
WWE kind of way, per se. You were
Yeah, we got to
marching
make
in the
sure
army.
everything's on point for sure.
It's understandable. And what you made was a very storied career there in my eyes from what I have seen and looked up. And I have a list of matches here from reality that may give you some nostalgia. And we were just talking about you in the Legion. Now, I have a match down here where it was for the ROW Tag Team Championships, where it was the Legion, you and Sean, versus Culture Incorporated, with you guys retaining your titles.
Yes, I think we had like two or three matches with Culture Inc. That was Eli and Malik with Nick Holiday and Eli and Malik. They're just two of the most talented cats that I've ever got to work with. Those dudes, I can see them going much further than me.
You versus the Legion versus the Renegades.
I can't remember which iteration of because the Renegades had like five
And
members
don't
of
they
the
own like their
team.
own company? Yes, Renegade USA.
Yeah, something like that. There's a bunch of them in that group.
And you were just talking about this man, Legion and Ryan Davidson versus the Renegades, where you
Yeah,
guys won.
that was fun. That was fun. We got to paint Ryan Davidson's face for that one. So
What were you guys like planning out like some cool Road Warrior type shit? We're gonna deck you out.
sort of, yeah, a little bit more gothic.
Right? Yeah. I get. But like in the back draws and
Yeah,
Animal
for
would have
sure.
to
Yeah,
help
yeah,
draws.
yeah.
Legion versus La Familia.
We did a lot of a lot of matches with them. I think during that time we were also in the parking lot because of COVID. So instead of having shows inside, we would have shows in the parking lot, and everybody would drive their cars up, and you could turn on your radio to a certain station, and you could hear the commentary in your car and
Wow.
sit, safely in your car, or spaced out a little bit more. So it was a cool setup. I don't think I saw anybody else do that during that time.
I can't think of anybody else that have done that either. This is the first time I'm hearing about that too. Like that's really cool. You guys also defended the titles against Fly Death, and you
Hmm.
retained. And you've also faced Fly Death in a few other places, I've noticed.
Yeah, I've shared the ring with those guys a lot.
And you fought Clay Roberts in an abandoned mall.
That would be Sean who fought Clay in the abandoned mall.
Okay,
I fought uh, Cam Cole in the mall, but it was like a Christmas street fight of some sort. But their building at Reality of Wrestling used to be attached to a mall, so we would bust through the wall, and now we're in the the main entrance of the mall. I think he like dipped my head in the water fountain. It was fun times.
sounds like it. With some fun experiences, get to use your environment around you. That's always fun to do.
Hmm.
You teamed up with this guy named Isaac to take on the Nature Boys.
Yeah, Isaac Morales, who we now work together at New Texas Pro, which is also one of the major promotions here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Isaac was a ref at the time, and he was transitioning into becoming a wrestler. And so I believe our story was that I was the one training him to get ready for matches, and the Nature Boys were, two, uh, you know, couple of nerds who were
Want to be
bullies,
Ric Flair?
and yeah, and so they were picking on Isaac. I was the guy who would team up with him, and then we had our match. Now Isaac is at New Texas Pro and Texas Contender Series. He's doing he's a personal trainer. That's his character, and he's got two people in his stable doing the uh, Muscle Mania day 400 of Muscle Mania. Every day is like he's talking about his fitness and stuff like that. The meat market is their group, and Isaac is on the rise. He's going to be one of the top guys in Texas very soon.
I believe it. He is a talented competitor from what I saw and from what I looked up. Because as I was looking up you, I got interested in other guys I was not familiar with, and I like to expand my knowledge on pro wrestling. And I've got to learn so much, and this is such an experience for me and the world. And thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You also took on Tito Lincoln. You remember that one?
I do remember that one. Tito came in from, I believe, Devon's school down in, I think, Florida, maybe. But he was a big, young guy coming in. He's a bodyguard for celebrities, from what I know. Well-connected guy, super talented, got a lot of opportunities that could be coming his way.
You have very much confidence in these people that you face. Like you definitely give credit where it's due.
they definitely have, put me through the test. Those people, so got to make sure that those people know that, in those times, I enjoyed working with those people, whether it was to help elevate them and teach them, or them teach me.
It's a word learning experience for both, and it's better to work together than apart. And it sounds like you guys are a unit. Outside the ring and inside the ring, it's business.
Hmm.
Izzy James, which is you, versus Max Castellanos, which Max won.
Castellanos, yeah, Max Castellanos. That dude, I don't think I've been hit harder by anybody in the
Really?
wrestling industry than Max Castellanos.
Not even Alexander that we were just talking about?
Alexander hits pretty hard, but Max will knock the wind out of you so fast.
Damn. All right. We were talking. Now, this wasn't in ROW, but this was on only because I put this on the page at the moment because I was going through stuff, but I did separate it. But to take up, you did have a bull rope match with another person, Quan, and
Hmm.
Quan won.
Yeah, Colin over at AEW. We had a series of matches in North Texas for a company that's no longer running called Palais Pro, and we did a bull rope match. And in the bull rope match, I came out with a shirt that said "Con sucks eggs," to pay tribute to Dusty. Um, so Con's also one of those dudes that's just consummate professional.
Now, you had a series of matches with a few people in ROW, particularly that I've noticed through your history. Eric Lockhart and JP Harlow.
Yeah, I think Eric kind of became my arch nemesis at Reality Wrestling for a while.
I noticed.
At
You
least
guys
in
have had
at
so
least in
many
like the
matches.
last,
You guys
yeah,
even teamed together.
yeah. I think we had like 2 years where it was just him and I bouncing back and forth in different matches. JP and I, JP and I was supposed to be one of those situations where it was just going to be one match exhibition kind of thing for the show, and then uh, the match was so good, people were wanting to see more of it, so they kept putting us in the ring together. And I know there's one match where I broke his nose by accident
Ooh.
um,
Ooh.
when I slammed his face into a guardrail. Just
Oh.
didn't mean to. Totally sorry, JP. You look better with it broken though.
Show it the love. Show it the love. Oh, this match I really enjoyed with you in it as well. I enjoyed a lot of the matches from ROW with you in it, but this one was also one that's very underrated. You versus Matthew Palmer.
Yes, that's a special one for me because Matthew is the person who I consider my first official trainer. Yeah,
Wow.
I trained with a group of guys for a little while that was starting MPX. It was a couple of us, but none of us had official like training from anybody prior to us. Not like a we didn't have like a head trainer that was, he had been 20 years in the business and knew all the things. But whenever I started really getting out to other places, I remember I did a TNA gut check tryout. I was like less than a year in, and I shit the bed. I was so horrible. I was the worst in the camp, and I instead of walking away and going, oh well, I guess I'm done. I'll quit. I hit up Matt Palmer and I was like, hey, I need somebody to like take me under their wing and like really teach me. And so uh, Matt became that guy, and Matt considers. Well, Matt will tell you I'm his first trainee, um, and now he helps run the school at MPX currently. Now that him and his wife are part owners.
Oh, that's really cool. That is really, really cool. You also have the last one I wrote down that I have written down for ROW is Dex Harm.
I do remember wrestling Dex. That was back at the old building because Reality of Wrestling's moved to a different place. But yeah, Dex. I wrestled. I think it was the first time, maybe even only the one time we've worked together.
Hopefully, we see more down the line. You also were a good mainstay at Texacoma Pro for a bit.
Texoma Pro. Yeah,
Texoma.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I wrestled there off and on for years. In the last um, year that I was there, I was wrestling alongside my one of my best friends named Barrett Brown. We were tag team champions for a while. Uh, as things happen, dates don't align and stuff like that. So I haven't been there in a minute, but looking to go back to Texoma here in the near future.
And there, where you were breaking up how you teamed up with Barrett Brown, you guys took on CC and KOA, where KOA retained.
Yeah, I know we had a couple months where it was just us and KOA over and over again. And those two dudes were interesting guys to work with. Um, they were relatively new-ish, not new-ish, but newer to us, and I think we had really good chemistry.
You also took on Corey Constantine.
Yes, this for Louisiana too.
Ooh, nice. At Triple Threat All Hail to the King 2024, it was you versus Max Beckett versus Malik Mayfield, with Max Beckett walking out victorious.
I believe that was actually just a year ago because I saw a clip of that match post on Facebook. I think it was this morning.
Yeah, I saw the matchup on YouTube. It was a crazy triple threat. That company, I like how like the setting is and like the style that it is. It really does give a great feel.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe the building that they are in um, took some damage over the winter, and so it's been being torn down. They moved their location.
Oh,
Yeah, they moved locations to Oklahoma, which they were doing both Oklahoma and Sherman, which is Sherman's basically the northern border of Texas, and so
okay.
they moved exclusively to their other facility in Oklahoma, which honestly is much nicer.
That's awesome. That's awesome for them. At least they're still going. I'm
Hmm.
sad that the old building gone, but like glad they're still going.
Yeah.
You also competed at the Toy Drive in 2022 against Kerry Morton, where you won.
Gosh, was that 2022 at this point? Man, that
That's
feels
what
like
it
it was
says.
much.
Like it said 2022 Droid Drive.
That feels like it was much sooner, like much closer to like today's date. But like I said, I've had so many matches and traveled so many different places. Like I've probably forgotten more matches than I know I've had.
I hope these bring you back to some ones that you probably wish you never forgotten, or at least ones that you will look back on and maybe go check out again.
Yeah.
Now, right here, the last one I have for Texoma was where you were in the main event against Rook Tyler.
Hmm. I think
How
Rick's
was
actually their dynasty champion now, so he's doing well with Texoma.
incredible. And what I got down here, you made your way to a company called SWE where you debuted against Chandler Hopkins.
Yeah, SWE only ran for like a couple shows and then shut down. It was like running during COVID times and fallout happens all the time. So,
Yeah, I heard quite a few people got screwed over during COVID, especially during sports, and it was really sad.
100%.
You made it to heavy metal wrestling against J Series?
Yeah, that was San Antonio. I can't remember the year, maybe post COVID. Um, Yeah, it was post COVID because I was doing the Izzy character. Uh, it was like early days of that character. Jay Sirius, um, he and I have known each other for most of our careers, so I've seen him do a bunch of different characters too.
Welcome, Wes Grimm. Thank you for showing up, sir. And I got down a little bit of Inspire Pro Wrestling. You remember there?
hmm Yeah, I still work there.
I have you up against Epidemus Jr. and one against Robert Martyr.
Yeah, I loved working with Robert Martyr. The dude is just so talented, and Epidemius Jr. Probably he's probably the best. He probably has to be the best luchador in the state of Texas right now. The dude is so talented, so young, just absorbs everything like a sponge. And he's already been on AAA. You'll see him in WWE very soon, I'm sure. Just super talented cat, and him and I had a series all last year where it was, I believe, we had 4 or 5 matches, and the last match was a casket match, which was so fun to do, but unfortunately, I don't even know where I can find that footage. Yeah.
Wow, a casket match. That's definitely one to see. If the people ever find a way to check it out, please go check it out and let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to see that footage.
I also got you down for you had one at um you had a match against ASF as Izzy.
Real quick, we're not gonna talk about him. We're not
Oh,
gonna talk about that match at all. Next question.
okay, my bad, my bad.
We don't mention that name.
Understood. I don't ever want to disrespect you. I'm sorry.
No, he's gone. He's leave him alone. He can.
Okay. Oh, never want to disrespect anybody, so I will not mention that name again. My bad. Moving on. Smash Mouth. You remember there?
hmm
You took on Max Heights.
Was
You
this
remember Max?
like what, 23?
I would say so, yeah, what I got down.
Yeah, I know Max and I have had several matches. The latest one, I believe it was last year, about October, where I won the New Texas Pro Lone Star title off of him. But that one, I can't remember if there was a title on the line, but I do remember that was a very hot show. It was hot outside.
Guessing the heat got to you guys at certain points.
Oh, it's Texas. It's always going to do that.
I don't doubt it from what I hear. And you also made your way to a company ran by the Renegades. You want to tell us about that?
Um,
Renegade USA?
yeah, I don't remember the show though.
I thought it was just called Renegade USA from what I looked up on YouTube. Um, it was you versus Jay Alexander. This is where you had your matches with Jay Alexander. You took on him in a.
I know we had matches at Pele Pro, but I don't remember one being a Renegade show, unless they put it up on their YouTube page as.
That's where I got it. So if that I thought that was like the company name. So that is my bad, sir.
Yeah, I don't think that's the company name. I could be wrong.
Okay, so
But
that's for Pale Pro where you and
yeah.
Jay Faye. Okay, so yeah, they put it on their page, so I figured it was under there. But now I know. So you were at Pale Pro with Jay Alexander rivalry.
Mhm. Yeah.
What stemmed this and what ended it?
What started it? Oh gosh, I think it just started with a bunch of just online chatter, just talking crap to each other. um, but then it became a competitive rivalry. Anything you can do, I can do better, kind of thing. Then it became, all right, I kind of freaking hate this guy because he he's just built like a shit brick house. So he's amazing. He's incredibly strong. Looks amazing. And then that kind of just like it trickled over to other places like 360 Pro, where Jay and I had like 3 or 4 matches there as well. He eventually won the 360 Pro Central Texas Championship off of me. I believe it was last March, maybe April. Um, but shortly after that, ended up winning the NWA Texas title. So we ended up going in 2 different directions.
But in that rivalry, did you guys have a good ending, or are you guys tied?
I think we are. I think he might have one up on me at this point, unless I'm wrong. I
Well, because when I got that, you got the last man standing, and I also got down a match where you defended a title, and then you had the Pro Syntex Championship at one point on the line between you two. You had the LWA Legacy Championship between you two at one time.
I do remember LWA is the Laredo Wrestling. Yes, yeah. He was the champion there. I think he's. I don't know if he's still the champion there or not. I honestly haven't seen Jay in a long time probably since we wrestled the last time.
Wow. So you never know. You could see him
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
You took on wow. I forgot I put this one down. You took on the X Division champion Josh Alexander.
That was actually the second time I challenged for the X Division title. The first time I challenged for it was against Brian Cage in 2016.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can find that match on my YouTube.
I will. I'm gonna go check that out. Shit, fun. Okay, wow. And you also had a match against Dale Springs?
Dale, I don't know if he still wrestles or not, but yeah, that was also for Pele Pro.
This is a new company to me that I recently learned about from doing my research on you, so this was an experience for me.
Yeah, they're not around anymore, unfortunately.
Damn it. Um, you had a World Warrior Championship Ghouls Night Out at Ghouls Night Out, where the champion was Steven Tresario, and you
Mhm.
you went by the Izzy character, and Steven won.
That
Is the
was a
company
WrestleMania weekend show, I believe, a couple years ago here in the Dallas area.
okay? Si- there was one called Simply Lost Promotions Ain't No Joke, where you took on Ricky Ramirez, with you coming out victorious.
Yeah, that one was actually ran by a friend of mine. His name is Bryson Scott. Him and his wife run that show. They do those shows every now and then. They don't run all the time, but I enjoy working those shows. And Ricky's really good up and coming talent in the state too.
So he's new to the sport. He's still learning.
Relatively, I think he's got a couple years to him.
You also had a GCWA No Gimmicks Needed, where you took on Dimitri Jackson, with you walking out victorious.
Yes. Oh, yes. I had to think about that because I know so many Dimitris. Uh, he goes by Dimitri Jackson. Goes by Action Dimitri Jackson. I think he dropped Dimitri, but yeah, he lives in Mexico now.
Wow. So he doesn't do ROW, because wasn't he in ROW as Action Jackson?
Um, no, there's several Action Jacksons in the world,
Oh,
so
okay. Oh, I
yeah,
see. My bad.
it happens.
You made your way to Versus Pro?
Yeah, Versus is in Vegas, right? That's my friend Wes runs Versus Pro. I've worked there a few times, if not just Mania weekend recently, but also they do a Level Up Expo, which is like a 3-day anime convention, video games, and they do a wrestling show for all 3 days. So those are really fun to do.
It seems like you had some pretty interesting matches from the ones I got down. I got down two particularly with where you teamed up with a guy named Sledge against the Bash Bros, and you and Sledge walked out with the W.
Yes, Sledge, I don't believe wrestles anymore, but him and I had fun teaming together. Him and I were just, laughing it up, being cards, because that was our relationship, was always just making each other laugh. So it just was natural for us to do that in the ring.
Papa Jace versus you
Mm-hmm.
at
Papayase,
Level Up Mania
Papayase.
4, Day 3, Party Monster Championship.
Yes, that one I really love that match. Actually, I believe the footage may be on my
It's
YouTube
on
page.
YouTube.
Yeah, I know it's on YouTube. I can't remember if it's on my page or not, but I do enjoy that match. Papayase, w- him and I had such good chemistry for the first time ever wrestling. It was so strange to have really good chemistry like that with somebody, um, especially when it was like the first time to be in the ring together. Um, but him and I had really good time with that crowd. Um, I Now that you brought this up, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that match today.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm glad I could bring some good ones back up to you. And I know that we were talking about a little bit about your deathmatch, like how you've done some things that are questionable and crazy where you get bloody and go to color. And Loco Wrestling is one of those promotions known for that,
Yeah,
where you took on Basita 666.
Bestia, seis.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, Bestia.
Bastia. My
Yeah,
bad. I
no,
don't
yeah,
ever want to
that's
talk names.
no, that's just how like it's. Some people say Bestia seis. Whenever I heard him say his name, he said Bestia, so I wanted to make sure that whenever I say it, I always say it the way he says it. But yeah, he's the son of the legendary Damien 666. He was really cool. Um, he showed up late, had to put all of his face paint on, but we still had a crazy good match.
He got there late. Like, was the match probably not going to happen if he didn't show up?
I don't think it was like something like that. They may have just were gonna push it to the later end of the show, but
Oh,
like flight situations always happen. So sometimes wrestlers, get stuck at the airport, or they don't arrive at the airport when their flight was originally gonna land.
I do have to ask before we continue on with the matches, since it is called Loco Wrestling, was it really as loco as they say?
It's a wild party for sure. There's
Dang.
now two different locos. There's Loco and Loco Underground, and Loco Underground. It's like just two different brandings basically. But they do like death match shows now, and they do no ring shows. That's kind of like their bread and butter. Um, but people are drunk, people are stoned, people are just there you know, for a party, and they get one.
Most indeed, most indeed. And you also took on Aaron Sykes.
That was, yeah, I wrestled Aaron, and that was probably one of the not worst matches, but one of the worst times for me because there's a moment in the match where my head gets slammed against the ring, and it just so happens that the way my head hits, I ended up getting a big scar across my forehead where I ended up having to get 10 stitches to put my face back together. Blood all over the place. That match is on YouTube. I know it is. It's on my page, I believe. But yeah, probably the worst concussion I ever got was in that match.
I did watch the match. That was the only reason I did know about it. But freaking, it was wild what I saw. I was literally like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
Those moments.
yeah. It was. I probably should have stopped wrestling, but I didn't.
Was that a setback for you at that moment?
Yes. I've wrestled for a long time, but I've had injuries throughout. Usually like a broken nose or concussions, um, sprains, pulled muscles, different stuff like that. But never have I had anything that kept me out for like a long time, longer than a month. Um, that particular concussion, I probably should have taken off several months because it was so bad. But I remember I got my stitches out. I want to say like a week or so, like 2 weeks later, and I wrestled a match like the next day, and I shouldn't have because I blacked out during the middle of the match. Don't remember anything that happened, um, and I remember I took more like I had bookings after that, but I was like, I can't. I need time to let my brain heal. So concussions are no joke. If you're a wrestler or if you're not a wrestler and you get a concussion, get it taken care of. Don't be a dummy.
And we have seen what concussions and what brain damage can do to a person, even if we're not experiencing it. We have seen what it has done to people. It's something that definitely needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, as you were still in Loco, you may have got injured, but you still had. Did you come back to Loco after being injured?
I believe I did.
Okay, because I have two more matches written down here, but I wasn't sure if these were like when you returned. It was you versus Knight Rider versus Gino Medina.
That's Local Underground. So yes, that's the different branding there. But yeah, me, Gino, and Knight Rider was a couple months ago.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We're still talking about Loco.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Loco Underground. It was you versus Little Poppy.
Yeah, Lil Poppy. He's got the moves.
Quick one at that.
I remember we went like 20, 25 minutes in that match too.
And it's up on YouTube if the fans do want to go see it.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it's on YouTube, the Loco YouTube.
Now I think you're going to be excited that we finally made it to these. I have 3 promotions left that I was hoping to talk about, and one of them being Wildcat. You remember there?
Yeah, I was just there about a month ago.
So you're still there working for them when you can.
Yeah,
Nice. You took on Purple Haze at one point?
that was a month ago.
Okay, so that was recently, and you came out victorious.
Yeah, they just put that on their YouTube page, that match.
You also were at the 2023 Revolution Royal Rumble, where you took on Moonshine Mantel, with Moonshine walking out with the W.
Yeah, I believe that was one of the first times I had worked for Wildcat.
You were at the Wildcat TV drama. So it was the Drama Club versus you and Super Beast?
Yep. Me and Super Beast, one-time pairing. I don't think I've seen that dude since then, as far as wrestling goes. I think I know he's still out there doing stuff, but I haven't seen him in like my passings.
You also took on a man that's known for another company called XPW by Alta Boy Luke. You took on Luke Hawks.
The legend, the Southern Stomper. Yeah, I was actually really excited to wrestle Luke because ever since I broke into the wrestling industry, I heard about this guy named Luke and him being, the toughest man in the South, the Southern Stomper, just this legendary figure. And I finally got to wrestle him, and that was really cool.
And when it came to that, after the match, did you guys have a talk after? Were you able to connect?
Yeah, he really enjoyed working with me. Um, Wants me back at Wildcat more. Um, that's why I ended up wrestling Purple Haze the next show. But I'll be back there again. I believe it's going to be October. They wanted me for September, but I have some NWA obligations that I have to take care of for NWA. So uh, I can't wait to go back to Wildcat, honestly, because those that locker room and the environment is just so fun to be a part of.
And you're also a part of the Dog Pound, yes?
That is true. Yep, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, which is a product of the NWA Texas territories.
And what your debut there? Who was it against, and do you remember the date? And like, do you remember like if it was on Paradox or one of their episode things, like Paradox episode what?
I do know it was on Paradox. Um, who I wrestled? Gosh, I think it may have been Soda Pop. It may have
Soda
been
Pop
Soda.
Hendrix,
Yeah, it may have been him. Uh,
because it looks like after that you took on Tino Valentine. Valentino.
Tino Valentino. Yeah, I know I've wrestled Tino Valentino there at Dog Pound and at TSW, which is also an NWA Texas product. There was a guy named Total Pimp that I wrestled there. That may have also been one of the first matches that I did there. Um, and I can't remember if that was like the first one or not, but certainly had a handful of cats that I wrestled there.
You also fought the debuting Brandon Groom and Queens in the same night in a triple threat where you walked out with the W on episode 22 of Paradox.
That is, yep, absolutely correct. Think that just aired.
Just aired.
Yeah, they just aired that footage, I believe.
Wonderful. I'm
Yeah.
glad I was able to capture it. So, between Texas, TSW, and Dog Pound, what are the experiences like for both?
Um, Dog Pound and TSW both ran primarily through Rodney and Jazz. Those are the mentors for our territory. They kind of have the last word as far as what they want to see. TSW's got a little bit bigger venue, but um, Dog Pound and TSW kind of run together. So, like, if you see something on Dog Pound, it's probably a build up to TSW.
I believe it. Dog Pound and TSW are both hard hitting, great companies to go watch, and I am a fan, and I'm glad I've got to experience both on the YouTube world and got to learn about Sweet Caramel Lightning when he was first on here. And I heard, not trying to expose you, I hear you guys are pretty good friends.
Yeah, I like Caramel. He's a good dude.
Now I have made it to the final company, but of course I still have some questions lined up for you. But as we talked about this last one that you did bring up very highly, New Texas Pro.
Hmm.
What's it like there? How was it coming in and just what it's like and like going through the process?
So I worked for New Texas off and on for a little while, not consistently for a few years when they first started coming around, and then last year I was in a state where I was like, I need to change my environment. Where I was at was not doing it for me, and I was in a position where I was like, if I don't change something about what's going on right now with my wrestling career, as far as like my environment and how I'm feeling with my confidence, and feeling as though nobody really cared about me anymore, I was going to retire at the end of last year. But before I was going to do that, I was like, let me try this New Texas locker room. So I had a meeting with them, started coming back to New Texas more. In that locker room, I can't put over their locker room more. They are probably the best group of guys and girls who have an uplifting attitude. They want to see everybody succeed. And in this business, you run into a lot of people that, do a lot of things that backstab you or, undercut you or, talk down, about you when you're not in the room. These guys, they really have a good environment to be a part of, and it honestly helped me find my confidence, and allowed me to showcase my creativity in a way that I don't think I got to show in a while, probably several years, and I think that's probably probably one of the main reasons why you're hearing my name a lot is because they allowed me to paint outside the colors or outside the lines, paint however I wanted to, and just be authentically me. And without them, I wouldn't have been on the journey that I've been on this last year, finding my confidence, doing the things that I'm doing, and making my way into the NWA territory system. And now, hopefully, you'll be seeing me on NWA 77 on August 16th.
What? Wow. That's big and is wow. And you grew up watching the NWA and WCCW, like you said.
Yep. Yeah. You might like. They told me to be there. We'll see if it's a match. We'll see if it's just me. Hey, this is me under my belt, and here's my promo. But I was told to be there. So, like I said, if it wasn't for those cats at New Texas Pro, I wouldn't have found my confidence and probably retired at the end of last year.
I'm glad you didn't, sir. I'm glad that you didn't, and I'm glad that my buddy, the Mighty here, I just have to give him a shout out real quick. He's the one that made these posters that you guys see that for y'all. Thank you to him for that. And he's one of the reason that this Breaking Kayfabe is happening. And without him, I would not have been able to have this chance to do so when he reached out to you, Sweet Caramel. It was such an honor to get to know who you guys are. You went by the unholy Isaiah James in New Texas Pro, where you had somebody called the Insidious One follow you around.
Mm-hmm. We did that. That character was started in Reality Wrestling. The Unholy
Okay.
was my character that I had started back in 2012-13 era. And I just kind of kept running with it for a long time. And eventually, my wife started to train to become a wrestler. And in the time that she was training, we had her as my manager, and she was the Insidious One or the Insidious Follower. And so that's who that character is and where they came from.
So competing with your wife, are you guys still doing stuff together, or is it just kind of you guys on your own?
Every now and then she will manage me for like some different appearances, but she's taken some time off from the wrestling industry to focus on some other things for herself. Um, she eventually would like to come back and wrestle. It's just going to be the right time, right place kind of deal. So right now we're not doing anything together as far as in-ring stuff goes. But we've also kind of like talked about like Izzy versus the character I used to do, and does Izzy need a manager alongside them? Sometimes it's cool to have her for like a nostalgic event kind of thing, but it's probably not necessary for everything that I'm doing.
That's understandable. And how you said that, freaking, I did get down, not a lot, but there are two particular matches with Insidious One that I noticed she was at your side for, and that was one against Camp Cole, one against Mysterious Q.
Yes, I know the one with Mysterious Q is probably one of my favorite matches that I've ever had. Q, now going by Carter Black. Uh,
Oh.
he is. Yeah, I say I'm the best in Texas, but he's been the best in Texas for a long, long time.
So you beat him, you took his title.
I wouldn't say that. I just started saying it. I just started saying it's me.
And you took on two that are known in their own way at the time. He was known as Del Sol, but now he's KJ Orso. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Izzy has left us. I am re-adding him back. Everything good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I was talking and it all of a sudden just dropped. But no, to say KJ Orso, yeah, I love KJ. Dude's super smart. Probably one of the best minds I've ever gotten to like chalk it up with as far as wrestling talks go.
So you really bonded with him, and I think you know about his career from where he started to where he is now, I would assume, yes?
Yeah, started in the backyard YouTube content that got him super popular before he was ever really, blowing up doing other stuff, all over the place.
Indeed. What is your thoughts on Myron Reed?
I got to work with Myron one time. He was really cool. Whenever this was also like a couple of years ago, like 21 ish, and at the time it was for me it was like I was wrestling Myron, who is way more popular than I am or I have ever been on the independent scene, and some people you meet and you don't know how they're going to be, but then you meet people who are just super nice and really cool to put matches together, and you kind of vibe with them as far as like how you think, stuff like that. So to be able to like go in there and be like, oh, like damn, this is a cool experience. I'm really enjoying this, and it's just one of those things. Like you meet so many bad people, when you meet a good person, it's like hell yeah.
And you got the chance to deal with Myron Reed and Del Sol at the time in a triple threat, as I'm assuming is the only time that you said you worked with Myron.
I can't remember if it was a triple threat or if it was more. Maybe it was just a triple threat because I do know that show or that WrestleMania weekend we were doing two shows in the same building, and there was a previous match. I want to say this was the previous match where Ninja Mac was involved um, with us as well, but for some reason I have the memory telling me that he was in that match with me and Myron Reed, but I could be way wrong.
That's the one that I got down, but either way, I thought it was a great matchup, and I think what it sounds like you had a wonderful experience working with both individuals.
Absolutely. Those dudes can do so many things I can't do. So,
Hey, you never know. The style could change over time, and you could add something to the arsenal we may have never seen before, or something we'd be
I'm
like, "Ooh, I never knew he could do that." Whoa.
I'm constantly in training and coming up with new ideas and advancing my playbook.
Heck yes, sir. That's the way to do it. And for me, I do want to take a moment for these comments of the mighty said, thuggin' and buggin', the carbonation sensation, shout out to Queens. Brother, I would not have done this without you, so you get credit too. So don't just give it to me, you get the credit too. Uh, Great guy, very, very nice. I think he was talking about Mr. Orso. And Izzy, you're the man from Wolf Davis? Or Wolfie Davis?
Wolf Davis, yeah.
Ooh, you had I really like this one. I like multi-person matchups. You had a six-shooter challenge. Do you remember that?
Six.
Where it was six of you. There was Max Heights. There was you. There was T Ray. There was Garza, Sky, and Griffey.
I believe that was for New Texas Pro. Yeah, I do
Yes.
remember that. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I have down, and it came out with Max Heights walking out victorious with the title. But it was a chaotic matchup.
Yeah, I believe that was the first chance I had at the Lone Star title, possibly. Um, Ended up winning it off of Max Heights October of last year. So Full circle.
And there was a match where he retained his title against you one-on-one.
Was there?
It's Lone Star Championship. Max Heights was the champion. You came out and faced him, and it says Max Heights was the one that retained.
I believe that. Yeah, I'm starting to vaguely remember that one. I believe that was the night I was recovering from like an asthma attack, like the
Oh,
week before. So I do remember something like that. Yeah.
I hope you're okay, sir.
No, yeah, I'm fine. I've suffered from asthma since I was like 6.
Not an easy thing to deal with, I will say. Izzy James and you versus you teamed up with Fly Death in this one. This one you took on the 8th day.
The good old 8th day. Yes.
So what the 8th day was this like a group that was 8 days? What was the precipice of this?
The 8th day is still a group in New Texas Pro. They're probably big, the major heel group for our company, and they are, uh, you know, Father O'Day is the leader of the 8th day. They have Timor the Great, they have the Guardian, and then they've had some other people within their group. But they're basically like, um, it's a biblical thing. I'm not a religious person, so for whatever reason, they're the 8th day. And on the 8th day, God rested or something. I don't know. I don't follow religion.
But you got to team up with Fly Death, who you're used to facing in competition. What it seems like you guys have had a lot of fights everywhere.
Hmm.
You also took on Exodus Prime and Lil Evil in a triple threat.
Man, those are two opponents that I love working with Exodus, and Lil Evil is a good friend of mine. Um, that dude, can't say enough good things about that dude inside the ring and outside the ring. I can't wait for him to come back from his current injury, because the dude really knows how to command a room.
Be a locker room leader.
That and just I'm talking like with in front of the audience. Like he knows how to, like, he when he walks in, the whole audience, like if they were doing something before, they were scrolling their phone, if they were buying a beer, they turn and watch Prince Evil or Little Evil
You also took on your former partner Barrett Brown.
hundreds of times.
What do you guys think your record is against each other?
I honestly couldn't tell you, and Cage Match can't tell you either because they don't have half the shows that I've done. Um, I've been on Cage Match before and been like, well, I certainly wrestled like twice as many matches that year than the ones that are listed. So I don't know
Oh,
how
I
it
have
is. Yeah, I don't know what the list is as far as all the matches on there, but
yeah.
it doesn't knock a dent in what I've done.
I have no doubt there. Like I said, this is from what I have gathered from what I could see, and I'm not going to bullshit you. Say, oh yeah, I know what you're. No. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
this from like what I saw on YouTube and other platforms.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what I got down, it's probably not even the extent of what you got going on. Like maybe the stuff I got for Sweet Caramel was not even the extent of what he had. You know?
yeah, yeah. That's the crazy thing about with, like I said earlier, with wrestling here in Texas is like a long time ago there wasn't a lot of content. Now there's more content, but then you have some places that don't even release that content for whatever reason. But um, it certainly hurts us in the long run because content is our currency.
Most indeed, and you got to be able to promote your stuff and promote yourself and be able to get yourself out there to interacting.
Hmm. Yep, 100%.
But as we continue on with this list, like I said, like you said, this is probably not your whole list, but I got down. This is a whole page just for New Texas Pro.
Yeah.
Um, you also had a great long running, like you said, with the Lone Star Championship. And you face guys like Danny O'Ryan, Max Height, Jay Pierce, JJ Black, Exodus
Like,
Prime, Buzzsaw Samuels, Sonico.
yeah, the list goes on and on. I think I'm like 12-0 at New Texas right now since I returned, 12 or 13. I can't remember. Um, but yeah, lots of those names are uh, very, with recent within the last year. Obviously, Sonico is a person who I have unfinished business with. We haven't had the one-on-one just yet, but we need to have it. JJ Blake, he's such an incredible talent. He was just on SmackDown as the police officer.
Wow.
Uh, as a police officer on SmackDown. So shout out to Officer JJ Blake. Didn't invite me to your graduation from becoming a police officer, but that's all right.
Hey, you also face Diego De La Cruz.
He's also from La Familia,
Okay.
or used to
Dustin
be. I don't think he does it anymore, but yeah.
Dustin Nigeen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Nigeen
Nguyen.
Nguyen. Dustin Nguyen, you
Yep.
face, and at the end it was a show of respect. I noticed you have shown respect in some of the YouTube videos to quite a few of the talent at times.
Dustin is probably the nicest person I've ever met in real life. Dude is just super kind. Also has a heart for this industry that is highly, probably highly unmatched because he's such a diehard wrestling fan and fanatic. But that translates to him having a lot of like he really cares about what he does as far as in ring. So when it comes to times where I've given or paid respect to different wrestlers that I've wrestled, it's because they impressed, and you know, not they didn't just impress me, but they impressed lots of other people, and their drive and what they're putting out, and their uh, like how they conduct themselves in the back, and how they conduct themselves in the ring really goes a long way with me.
And your guys' dynamic outside is what led you guys to teaming up against the meat market?
Yep, that was in the Isaac Morales was the leader of the meat market. Isaac and the Cutlet Javi Montenegro, who he trains in some of my classes on Thursday nights, and sometimes like tomorrow I might go during the middle of the day around 2 o'clock and have a private session with him and a few others. It just depends on if he can make it or not. But that dude, he's super young, but for someone who has had a handful of matches, he's on the right track.
Respect, respect. What sets we like just in general, what sets your promo style apart from others? Just like in general, wherever you go.
Um, I approach promos differently each time, I think. And I'll get on kicks where I'll do like certain types of promos. But I'm always trying to make sure that my character is the first thing you can pick up. Uh, I try to make sure that I would do cinematic promos from time to time. Uh, or here lately, I'm focused on making my promos as short and sweet as possible because for a long time, and I see it all the time. You see wrestling promos that are like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I've seen promos that are 4 minutes. I did a video. It was like a sit down shoot interview between me and another wrestler where we were talking about the build up of our characters finally wrestling. And that was like an 11-minute thing, but it was also set differently to where it was like this is supposed to be like a short film almost. Um, but my promos lately, I've been trying to make sure that they're like 30 to 45 seconds of just here's what's happening, here's who I am, here's the match that I'm going to be up in, and here's why you should be there. So in that, I also try to incorporate footage of me or the flyer, or I try to make sure that there's good production put into it, like with good clean audio, like microphones. Um, and like in my off time from wrestling, I own an editing company, so like I edit videos for a living. So I'm always making sure that they look and sound the best you can get.
You have an editing? You have your own company?
Yeah, I run Shuttersnake Films, which is my editing company that I do for
Whoa!
wrestlers. And then I work for another company called Just Our Luck Films, where I'm an editor and cinematographer, partnered with my business partner Vanessa, who she's also a cinematographer, but she's like the head of the company.
That is incredible. And you guys make like movies and stuff?
Yeah, I've made some short films. I just finished editing a short film that waiting to get back so that I can add the final touches to it, so that can come out, and then I'll be starting another edit for another film after that for another producer.
Was it just for promos originally that this was intended for, or did you want to do stuff with movies originally?
When I was in high school, I picked up video editing in school, and then over the years of wrestling, I kind of always made videos, and so recently graduated. I went back to school and graduated. I got not bachelor's, associates in film production. So my goal is to go into the production side of pro wrestling when I'm done being active, and whether that's directing, editing, or shooting the footage. It's it's something I love to do. I got into it so that I could do that, but doing movies too is so fun. It's very tedious, but I love it.
And you're still gonna continue doing this through your time, not just as a wrestler, but just in general. Yes?
Hmm. Correct.
Awesome. Can you walk us through your approach to storytelling in the ring?
Um, the storytelling aspect of things, I try to look at wrestling constantly evolves. It's always going to keep evolving. But I try to take the core elements and uh, the core of the psychology of wrestling from the old school '80s and '90s. Um, they were doing something right back then, so I'm gonna keep doing it now. But I'm gonna incorporate old school and new school and blend them together. So my storytelling, as far as matches go, is there's three stories we're gonna be telling in any match. My story could be my neck, could be my asthma. Your story could be you got a bum knee, or your confidence, or this or that. Like we figure out what those two things are, and then we figure out the overall theme of the match to have that story take place in. Generally, it's always going to be good guy versus bad guy, Joker versus Batman, yada yada. But sometimes you have the good guy versus the good guy, and so we have to figure out how do we tell that story. Like who's going to cheer for Batman, who's going to cheer for Superman.
Figure out where it like clicks and where it don't click.
100%.
And a man just turned in here, Tony Snow. It's simple, good and evil. Chris said La Familia are great. And I think this was actually a comment to you earlier on one of the things you said. That's why I try and get content for you guys when I'm at shows. I notice that some content isn't available as much.
Who's that?
The mighty Chris Cleve. He was when
Oh,
we were
okay.
talking about how some content ain't available. How you brought up that fact.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He just brought up that fact of how that's why he tries to share out your guys' stuff at the shows that he's at, and then he notices that some content isn't available on there.
Right, right.
I do question that sometimes. Like, why is it that certain matches are on here? Why is it that I have this bloody match, but I can't get this bloody match? Come on now.
Yeah.
What do you love about competing in Texas, and how do you think the state's wrestling scene compares to others?
Um, I love the like Texas is weird because for a long time it's been called the black hole of wrestling because like we were talking earlier, there's not a lot of like for a long time there's not a lot of content for
Yeah.
people to consume down here, even though there's a lot of wrestling going on. Um, for some reason, like I've had opportunities to move to Jersey and Philadelphia and different areas across the country to work for different companies. Those fell through for whatever reason, but at the core of it, I didn't want to leave the Texas wrestling scene because I feel like for some reason the Texas wrestling scene is hot here. Whether that be quality of the wrestlers or the quality of the shows, but I've gone to other states and wrestled and or gone to other shows at other states and um, just there's something in the air here with the shows down here, the wrestlers down here. I think it has to do with the locker room etiquette is so good here currently. Uh, but I think also, and this may be just my mentality, um, my mentality, and I think some of the other guys and girls are, well, even though the footage may not exist, the fans are still here, so we're gonna give 110%. So like I feel like we have to work a little bit harder to get seen by the major companies like TNA or WWE or whoever. We have to do a lot more and have to be a lot larger than life, a lot more larger than life than some of the other people that are constantly seen. You know, East Coast, West Coast, whatever it is. Um, Midwest or whatever. I feel like we give a little bit more because we have nothing to lose, I guess. At least that's my mentality.
I think you guys are going to continue to thrive doing what you're doing, and I feel you guys are going to get noticed one way or another, even if it's you. Like I said, you guys are going to get a wide variety with what you guys have going, and you guys, if anybody's missing out, they need to check you guys out. The Texas scene is big, and how you were saying how I don't have a list of fully everything you've went through. Other companies I do have written down, but I did not have the matches for at the exact time. But what I see, you've been around. You've gotten the name out there. People know you, and you put on a show for the world to see, and you tell a story each time you get into the ring.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Like I said, you and freaking Alexander, dude, Joey, freaking. Ugh. Can you tell us about a particular memorable match yourself? I've given you matches that I've had written down. But is there a memorable match to you that really sticks out to you today?
Yes. This was 2016, I believe it was. Middle of nowhere, Texas. The footage is on my YouTube page. Me as the unholy character versus uh, Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy.
Wow, you worked with Matt and Sammy? What was that like? What was it? I want to know about that. How was that?
So Matt was in the middle of doing his broken gimmick with TNA. Sammy was on the cusp of like he was getting around, but he wasn't. Obviously, this is way before AEW, but he wasn't signed anywhere. He was still a Texas guy. But Sammy and I had known each other for a few years, so that wasn't too different than times in the past where we had worked together. But it was really cool to wrestled with Matt, and we're going over the match, and Matt uh, Matt asked if we had any ideas, and I said I had an idea for the finish, and he loved it. We went with that idea for the finish. So uh, I have to say I loved working with Matt Hardy, and uh, while I was in the ring, watch like as he's making his entrance, I had a full mark out moment. Like I good thing the lights were off because I fully broke character.
And that experience was the only time you broke character?
I'm sure there's been plenty of others, but that's like the most memorable one as far as like um, one that's gonna stick in my brain forever, hopefully.
I have no doubt that is a huge honor. Two big names, and wrestling with you, and you've gotten to learn from anybody you've worked with, I would imagine. You got to learn from them and others, and it's just going to continue to grow with that experience. And it was such an honor to to have that. I wish I could see the footage.
Yeah, you can find that match on my YouTube page, Izzy James, just on YouTube, and then it's under Gregory James versus Sammy versus Matt.
All right, bet I'm down to watch that. How do you think you've contributed to the wrestling circuit? What do you hope to achieve in the future?
Oh man, I feel like um, I've contributed in the ring in a way where I feel like I've been the bridge between old school and new school for the last 15 years. Um, Having the ability to take the old school style of Southern Stomper wrestling, or the wrestling that's kind of synonymous with with the South, and turning it on its head and changing it and being a bridge for that, and being one of the first guys to open the door for other guys around here, like myself and Barrett Brown. I feel like we're the guys who kind of got the start for people like Exodus to do what they do, or Danny O'Ryan to do what Danny O'Ryan does, and so on and so forth. Um, but I think the thing I'm most proud about is I have a goal of leaving the Texas wrestling scene better than I found it. And whenever I came in to the business, it was you kind of you always have toxic people around, whether this business or it's the music business or so on and so forth. But my thing was is I wanted to leave the wrestling business better than I found it, and I think I've done that by helping uh, usher in, what talking about things that people were saying we shouldn't be talking about, these things like mental health or um concussions, stuff like that. Things that were just, oh, suck it up and move on, and just have tough skin kind of thing. And being that person who says no, like I'm gonna talk about it because it's like I don't see any fucking problem with talking about it. And I think it takes a lot more strength to talk about it than it does to sweep it under a rug. So I want to be that person who brings a good environment to the locker room, and is not just a locker room leader in psychology or helping put matches together as an agent or whatever, but like being a locker room leader and being that person that's like, hey, if you got something you need to get off your chest, like I'm a safe space to do that with. You can talk to me. There's no judgment here. You can just talk, because I go through my own stuff, and I think everybody else that goes through their stuff that doesn't get to talk about it doesn't feel safe to talk about it. And I know I felt that for a long time.
I'm glad that you have been able to express these things. That this is the If you can always express anything on here. Like I had E1 on here the other day, 4 hours. We talked about wrestling. We talked about life, and you with people expressing that, it's better to express than to hold it in. We are here for each other, and we're not trying to tear each other down.
100%. Yeah, can't allow that to happen. Like it does no good to tear each other down.
Exactly. The more that does that, it just doesn't make us a better person in the end. It just makes us just as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Can you this one this one I get kind of a mixed emotions on this one. Top 5 favorite matches.
That I've done, or just top five in
Just in
general?
general, your top 5.
It's a very tough question. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and I see stuff like from current stuff that like knocks a match off and becomes the new fifth or whatever. Um, I'd have to say Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 is probably it's in my top five. This is in no particular order, but that is definitely one of them because it's the match where I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. Um, so that one. Um, AJ Styles versus not Nakamura, Naomichi Marufuji in Noah last year. That was insane. That was a really good match. Uh, Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky at Evolution this past week or 2 weeks ago. That match was insanely good. I didn't like the ending, but I'm not the booker. Um, but the match itself was insanely good. Probably one of the best matches I've ever seen. So that's why it's in my top five. John Cena versus CM Punk. WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, Money in the Bank 2011. Um, and then Kenny Omega and Okada, I think,
For
from
New
one of the
Japan.
from Wrestle Kingdom. Uh, I think it
Was
was like
that
the
the one that
last.
got like the 10-star rating?
Yeah, like the 7.5 or
Uh
whatever it
huh.
was. Yeah, that went. I know. I remember my wife and I. We woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, just 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, just to make sure we could watch that live as it was happening. So those I'd have to say would have to be like my top fives.
You know, when I was thinking top 5, I was wondering about your top 5 opponents, but I love that you gave me your top 5 matches of all time. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Freaking, I thank you for that. But who are your top 5 opponents that you have faced?
Top five opponents. Um, Epidemius Jr. is one of them.
Ooh. Okay.
Barrett Brown.
Okay.
Trying to think like, because I'm basing this off of like who I've enjoyed working with or who I had the most like the best chemistry with. Um, I'd have to say probably Eric Lockhart at Reality of Wrestling. So that's three. So I need two more. Um, Good question. Man, there's so much talent here.
You faced a lot.
Yeah, no. Probably gonna have to throw in Jason Silver, who was a close personal friend of mine who passed away a couple
Oh,
years ago.
may he
He,
rest in peace.
yeah, he may be one of the first guys that I got to wrestle where I got to push the envelope and, like I said, learn how to be that bridge between old school and new school and then take it off from there. Uh, and then I need one more. Gosh. Um, Maybe uh it's a toss right now, either Mecha Wolf or Exodus Prime.
So got Thai.
Yeah.
Okay. Respect. That's awesome. Great choices. Wonderful choices. What's the most challenging part of being a wrestler, and how do you overcome it?
Um, it's a lot of challenges, and a lot of them have to do with, you know, the travel, the wear and tear on the body. I think it's a mental thing. That's probably the most challenging thing, the biggest struggle, uh, because this business can simultaneously, like it can give you a lot of confidence and make you, feel like a rock star and a superstar, and like you're somebody you always wanted to grow up to be, and simultaneously have imposter syndrome where you don't feel like you belong, and your mental health tanks, and you're never good enough, and the match was never good enough, and the fans don't like you, and your peers don't like you, and all this and that, and like, so it's a mental toss of, I'm I'm good at what I do. I know that I have things to work on, but I know that I'm, if I was a kid looking up at a pro wrestler right now, and they, like, the kid in me would be like, man, hell yeah, you became a pro wrestler. You did what you said you're going to do. Just be super proud of that, have that confidence. And then, 10 minutes later, I'm like, I'm the worst wrestler to ever exist.
How do you balance your wrestling career with your personal life?
My wrestling career is basically my personal life. It's it's everything that I do, other than the video editing stuff that I do, which a lot of it is wrestling related. Um, Everything I do, how I pay the bills is through wrestling. Personal life, all my friends are pretty much pro wrestlers or pro wrestling fans. I think the hardest thing that I deal with, and the things that I wish I had more time would be, to be home with my wife and my cats some more. We don't have kids, we're pet parents, but to be around them, I would certainly like to have more time to do that. I think that time will come, uh, with doing a more structured schedule, because right now my schedule is traveling every weekend. If not 2 days, it's 3 days or 4 days sometimes. I'm always going.
What kind of cats do you have?
Um, we had four. One of them recently passed back in March.
Sorry
We
to
have
hear that.
we have three. Two of them are black cats, and one of them's a calico. Two girls and a boy.
Wonderful. Um, how do you think your Guttersnake persona resonates with fans, and what do you hope to convey?
So I want to convey that I'm a rock and roll show, punk rock show. Like, like you're going to a concert whenever my music hits to the ending of my match, and I walk through the curtain. Um, but I also, like, with the gutter snake, he's, someone who has had nothing but setbacks or struggles, not the easiest life. I want to be someone who people can relate to, that have struggles in their life, or uh, didn't have the best home environment, or got bullied in school, stuff like that. I want to be able to convey that, Izzy's a fighter, and I'm going to speak and fight for the people that are unable to do it for themselves.
Can you tell us about a time when your persona really connected with the crowd?
This past weekend, I think it was a good one, but um, there's times where I'll do shows in a concert venue, um, or with a crowd that might be, like Austin fans. They're more of a progressive town, liberal town, where more of the fans are of that you know, that genre of people we're talking about, where it's people who have struggled or had things that they were told to not do or not be, people that are basically against the man, against the government, and all that stuff. So anytime I'm wrestling in Austin, I feel like that's my audience. Like they like I put on the vest and the punk rock vibe, and they're with it. You always have some of the people that are, the outliers, or some of the people that are like they don't like me for whatever reason. I don't care. Um, I'm still going to be the best wrestler that you've ever seen, and whether you think so or not is not my choice, but that's the facts.
Respect, respect, and welcome. Taylor Truce runs a company called Wrestling with Pride up in the UK. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. Welcome with the mental health. Mental health is key, and we need to be more aware of it and check in with people. I hearted that one. That is very true. And your buddy Luis
Jimenez.
Jimenez, still champion. Put it up against me. And welcome James Caps.
Hey, I'm a fighting champion. I'll put it up against anybody who wants a shot. You just got to give me the place. Hey, here in Texas, out of state, it doesn't matter. I got plenty of titles. If you want to do the NWA Texas title, the New Texas Lone Star Championship, I got plenty of championships to defend, and I'm going all over the place. So if you got a home place that you're the guy at, I'll come and I'll beat you in front of your home people.
Ooh, strong words there, ladies and gentlemen. Strong words. And how we were talking about earlier, we brought it up a couple times, how we have not even touched the brink of your wrestling career in certain promotions when we talked about matches. But I do want to bring up promotion I know you did appear in, Circle 6.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did 2 matches for them, I believe it was.
How was that?
It was interesting. I got to work with Kevin. I forget what his last name is, but he was really good to work with. And then that was the first time I met Ricky Shane Page, who I'm a fan of. Yeah,
Oh,
he was helping run the early stages of Circle Six at the time, and I got to work for him, and he really enjoyed my work. And we stay in touch every now and then. We'll talk. We'll hit each other up every now and then. But yeah, it was a great experience. I really liked those guys.
you would go back there if you had the chance.
Circle Six, Seven, any of those places. Like as long as like I'm down to do some hardcore or like borderline or if not deathmatch stuff. But I'm a little picky on some of the times in which I do those things.
Understood, understood. Um, ooh, I like this one. I'm really curious what your answer is to this one. How do you incorporate feedback and criticism into your performance?
Um, are we talking about feedback from
Um,
fans,
like criticism, like
peers?
yeah, just like criticism from anybody. How do you put that into your performance?
So it depends on what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I like if what I'm hearing just sounds like a bad idea, I'll I'll say thank you. I'll take that and then move on with my life. If it's something really good and like really makes me think about it, um, and critically think about it, I definitely want to look at things from all aspects as far as, how does the fan see this versus how does the company see this versus how does a peer see this. So I want to make sure that if there's something that I'm doing that I think is cool, but someone else tells me that, well, that was horrible, or this needs work, or this could be better. I certainly take it into consideration and try to find the ways in which I can take that same thing and change it or completely throw it out. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to always evolve as wrestling evolves in order to stay relevant, or you're not going to be relevant.
And you've gotten the name out there and you've promoted your stuff. You just threw up an epic promo today holding 2 titles. And may you tell the people what those belts are in case the people don't know.
So the silver title that you see in that promo, that the silver and black one, is the NWA Texas Championship. Won that back in May 25th. I am the inaugural NWA Texas champion in the NWA Lightning One era, which is the Billy Corgan era. So I won that in a one night tournament. That was a epic moment in my career, in my personal life. The other championship that's in that promo is the New Texas Pro Lone Star Championship, which I won off of Max Heights back in October. Um, that is that's been considered the secondary title to the promotion, but I am on a mission to make it feel as though it is the equal title, equal to the main championship, so that you have, like in WWE, you have the WWE Championship and then the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I'm trying to put the Lone Star on, as far as like, yeah, you guys think this about this championship, but no, it's the championship that you should be watching, because if you're not watching this match, if you're not watching the Lone Star Championship, you're you're missing out on some of the best wrestling and some of the best matches you can possibly get. Whether that's me as the champion, or my opponent who's stepping up to a challenge against me, or I'm stepping up into a challenge against them.
Understood. What are your short and long term goals for your wrestling career?
Short term, currently would be more work with the NWA, and to take the territory title that I have into a new, it's into as many markets as I can, in state, out of state. Long term goals is to sign major contract, and hopefully win one of the, like, if say we're in the NWA, hopefully one day win the NWA main title, the NWA world title. But long term, beyond that, would be to stay within the wrestling business in a different capacity. Uh, but this is the business that I love. This is pro wrestling. Like, it's the only thing I really love as far as uh, a job or interest of mine. And if I can be in the wrestling business as an agent or in the production side, once I'm done being active in the ring, that's my long term goal. I want to die doing this.
Oh, I'm happy that you get to continue the dream that you love, sir, and you have our support here all the way.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I do have to get going because I have a meeting today with a client for my movie in about 45 minutes, I think it is. Yeah, so I do have to get running, but if we could, maybe like one more question.
All right. Since you do have to go, we will end it off with the one that I usually end it off with. What do you hope your legacy to be?
I had a thing where, or a moment in time where I wasn't sure if I was going to even have a legacy. I felt like I was just going to be one of those guys that was around for a long time but didn't really do anything, or didn't really like leave a mark. And I feel like if anything, I want to go down in the history books in the Texas Wrestling Hall of Fame, uh, as one of those dudes who was known for going out there and giving 110%, always putting everything on the line, left nothing on the table. And not that I'm the hardest worker in the room, but uh, I'm certainly one of the hardest workers in the room, and I'm certainly one of the toughest guys to do this business, but also one of the best to come from the state of Texas. whether my career goes on to other places outside of this area, Texas itself. Like, I don't like Texas as far as like politics and like other things about Texas. The only thing in Texas I love is wrestling, and if there's anything I'm going to do, it's going to make sure that Izzy's name is in the annals of Texas wrestling history.
Well, with that being said, everybody, thank you, Izzy, for your time, and thank you for everything in general. The Mighty also says that as well. Thank you again, sir, and we hope to have you on here again soon, and good luck with your meeting.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. This was fun.
This was a true honor and awesome to do so. Everybody, have a great time. Peace out.